So, Marcus, permit me to ask a question.
Yeah, ask away. I like questions.
You and your expertise with magic, where did you get it, and how much do you know actually?
Oh, I know tons. I know lots. Where did I get it? Well, that's a good question. When I was younger, I read a few books, then I was shipped off to Magic High School.
Okay, first of all, that's why I have to ask specifically, because Magic High Schools shouldn't exist.
Right.
Why do you think they exist out there in the world? They don't make sense.
What do you mean? You need a Magic High School for guidance. I know I needed it. Actually, it was kind of terrible. I'm not sure I needed it.
Yeah, I was about to say that's not how mages work at all. Mages can't really teach other mages things. You sort of have to, every mage has their own learning style.
I don't know about that. It seemed to work for, some of my fellows.
Who are these people?
Oh, they were my classmates. They were all in their 30s and
I don't understand.
normal high school age. I was pushed up a couple grades.
Okay. You need to be taught a few things. First of all, a high school is something that kind of exists a little bit. It's a form of it's part of a new education system in Volkheim. It's a little different than what you're talking about. High schoolers are not in their 30s.
Okay.
My
Now
God.
that you mention it, I don't think that anybody ever once used the word high school to describe where I went to school, but that's just kind of always the term that came to the front of my mind. So it's what I always call it.
Boy.
Was high.
It's clear enough that you need some education about mages and the way mages work.
Do I?
Yes!
Sure. Marcus sits down and kicks back. Teach away.
To start off with, what you were part of was probably a guild or some sort of coven or organization of people. You see,
Yeah, like a high
mages... Not like high school. You see, mages all band together because, well, magic is a big, mysterious thing. Everyone who has the gift generally has to go about their own way of learning it.
Oh,
And
yeah, there's
some people-
101 different schools of thought in that. There's
Yes,
no one
yes,
right way.
Yes, no high schools of thought, though. No, speaking about that specifically, some mages born with the gift use familiars. They have a hallucinogenic coyote teach them how to cast spells. Some others...
Hold up, wait up, whoa.
Yes?
You had me at hallucinogenic coyote. Where can I find me one of those?
Marcus, you're a sorcerer. You're already a special case. You don't need to go through normal methods. But
I
if you
know
want a
that.
hallucinogenic coyote, we could probably work something out.
Okay, put a pin in that one.
Some people develop their magic talents by following the advisings of, well, a spirit animal. Others follow it by looking at the stars and deriving cosmic patterns out for their spells. Stuff like that. But the universal uniting quality is that there's sort of a set of rules to magic. Every single spell you cast only has a certain amount of power that's supplied by the mage themselves. The reason guilds and covens exist is because this sort of specialized and inconsistent amount of learning requires people to, let's say, cover for your weaknesses. For example, if you can cast a spell that creates grease, you might want to find a mage who can clean up grease, because inevitably
Anybody
you're
can
going to
clean
get-
up grease, Inien. You need a rag and maybe some cleaning solution.
You have not dealt with truly high virility wizard grease, have you?
Marcus gets really serious. No. I guess I haven't. I'm sorry, I had no idea.
Oh, yeah, that's an entirely different period.
Do you have the virile grease?
No, I actually lack the strength of magic to create truly strong grease. You see, for a period... Yes,
I'm sorry,
very
that's
funny.
Yeah, no, it's hilarious. You're really
Yes,
funny,
yes.
Inien.
For an entire period during the witch hunts, grease was used as an escape method for... Do you know why people burn witches? Because they're so incredibly greasy, they just light up in
yeah.
a split second. Yeah.
No, that's there's that old fairy tale about the greasy witch.
Yep.
Yep. He's getting set on fire left and right.
Yeah. It was
Tragic tale.
extremely real. No, regardless, people form guilds and covens because they want to sort of shore up their weaknesses. Sometimes an alternate context can help you develop your magic more. Magic is this sort of vague entity, but it's united by that central rule that your strength of magic determines what you're capable of. Now, do you know, just to launch into this, do you know the difference between a wizard, witch, warlock, sorcerer? You say you're a sorcerer.
Yeah, I say I'm a sorcerer because I command the forces of infernal might while also having that infinite wellspring of magic that is sorcery.
Very well put, yes.
I figured that the rest of it was mostly just kind of flavors on a theme.
Sort of. Well, wizards are, to clear up any misconceptions, wizards can be female, witches can be male, warlocks can be both,
Oh, yeah.
sorcerers especially.
Oh, I knew that.
Yes. No, so wizards are individuals who follow a moral code, stick to generally the rules of society. They're approved by the people who
I don't
take
think
care
I've
of them.
ever met a wizard who follows a moral code.
Yes, well,
Maybe the rules have gotten more lax. I don't know.
we went to the Coven of Dusk, remember?
Yes,
That was full of wizards who followed the Karavian moral code.
Huh.
You see,
I guess so.
wizards are bound to a society. For a long period of time, wizards were in control of society, and then they were shunned by it. Wizards now sit in a state of, mostly if they get along, they're considered a wizard, and that's a good thing. That means they get along with the people. That's important.
As long as we're not being hunted anymore.
Yes,
That was
yes.
a dark time.
Yes,
And I
you
wasn't
don't need to
around for it, huh?
You don't need to tell me
I
about that.
bet you're glad that you weren't around for it either.
Inien shrugs. Regardless, beyond that, you have witches, who are individuals who don't necessarily fit into a society, not necessarily evil per se, just generally painted that way. Witches aren't bound to that societal moral code. They perform their art individually, which can be extremely helpful to a society. Oftentimes you'll hear of village witches who sit out in the woods and perform great miracles. That's because they're generally nice people and want to help folk and don't want to get burned alive or stuck with some of the weird restrictions wizards have.
Yeah, that sounds fair to me. Do you consider yourself a witch, Inien?
Yes, indeed.
Very cool. Do you have a village? Are you a village witch?
No, unlike the witches I was just describing, I'm not particularly nice and don't particularly feel like helping people.
Markus
you know how it
nods
is.
respectfully.
And then beyond that, there is the state of being a warlock, those who intentionally break taboo.
Hey, taboo is there to be broken. Believe me, I know.
Yes, normally, warlocks aren't particularly, enjoyed by larger organizations such as the church.
Hey, there's a reason I coined the term sorcelock.
Yes. No, people don't generally enjoy warlocks, but fellow wizards do. You'd probably get along with wizards just fine. It's just being a warlock kind of implies things like blood sacrifices, rituals, spawning devils from hell.
Yeah, that sounds
She
right.
stares at Markus.
An imp sits on his shoulder, munching a piece of apple.
So I guess the forbidden arts suit you just fine, yes. Well, those classifications specifically fall under those who operate under their own strength of magic. They follow the magical rules. I, as it stands, and most wizards, witches, warlocks, have to abide by the concept that you can only accomplish what your strength of magic will allow. As far as witches go, I have a relatively small magic battery, so to speak.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I wouldn't have actually expected that.
No. My aptitude for learning is incredibly high, and mastering new spells is literally a cinch, but my capacity for casting that which I do know is rather limited. Like most mages, I need to cut an excessive number of corners to even make my spells work. For example, a fireball spell. The only reason that I can't create a fireball, say, inside your body, instantly combusting you from the inside, which I would so sorely love to do, is because my strength of magic won't allow it.
Also because I'm resistant to fire.
That too, I wasn't talking about you specifically, but more of a general you. Think of Kier when I'm talking about victims for my various spells. That's a good example.
Okay, that's a little creepy.
Regardless, sorcery is either a single magic or method of spell casting that's attained that completely breaks that rule, that overcomes the law of strength of magic. You, from whatever I can tell, can cast spells with almost no restriction.
Markus gives a small bow.
Of course, there might be, say, internal rules for the sorcery itself. For example, you can't repeatedly use your dissipate into mist trick, correct?
Oh no, that takes some pretty extreme concentration and a little bit of time to wind up. I can't just keep using it one after the other, or else it just doesn't work. I'll turn a little bit into mist, and the rest of me will stick around, and it's not pretty.
Exactly. So sorcerers are not omnipotent per se, they just operate by different rule sets. It's said to be the aspiration of every mage, witch, wizard, whatever you want to call it, to eventually attain a sorcery and ascend. Regardless of what you were before, whether you are bound in society or not, the second you attain a sorcery, you're instantly respected by the wizarding community and also partially envied. Classifying exactly what is a sorcery can be tricky in itself. For example, Colvin is technically a sorcerer because he signed up with a mage school beforehand, you know? He joined the Rune Carvers Guild and started to partake in various assignments despite possessing no magic himself. He was, quote, on the path to learning when he attained his sorcery message, as he calls it.
And what a message it is.
Yes, but this is where things get tricky. He attained the rank of sorcerer instantaneously despite knowing no magic and never being a wizard himself. Where if he hadn't joined the Rune Carvers Guild and had attained message, that would have been deemed a supernatural ability or mutation. You see, this
Sounds
magic
like
can
weird politics to me.
exactly. Handing out of titles is very, very annoying for mages. It can be quite irritating at times, defining what is and isn't a sorcery. Trust me, I have experience in this exact matter myself.
I pat Inien on the shoulder.
Regardless, what you've attained now can be considered a true sorcery, as the spellcasting is unlimited. If you had to go before a panel of judges, say, and demonstrate that you had attained one, you could easily do it.
I'm sure that I would get all 10s.
That aside, magic and sorcery affects different bodies differently. Magic tends to lengthen the lifespan. Sorcery can either dramatically lengthen it or dramatically shorten it.
Huh.
Judging by what I've seen of you, you said you're 30-something, correct?
Mid-30s.
The combination of your naturally long-lived tiefling heritage and your sorcery means you could potentially live indefinitely.
Yeah, I sure hope so. I mean, that's kind of what I'm shooting for. I'm not exactly counting on an early death.
Strange. I wonder why I haven't seen any tiefling sorcerers floating around if they're so long-lived.
Yeah, the world's a big place.
It's probably nothing to worry about.
Probably not.
Regardless, you don't need to worry about spell economics, which is something that I am constantly concerned about. I want to summon a golem, I'm going to make it 90% illusion, 10% functional bits. You want to make the feet a tiny bit of exoskeleton and the fists work. The rest is just for show. Efficiency is the key to being a good mage, and it's why most mages fail. And it's also why most mages want to attain a sorcery. Because if they get it, well, they don't need to worry about the annoying bits of magic anymore, the economics.
Yeah.
There's a reason why wizards are deemed to be the most intelligent in society. And that's because, well, we have to think about the way to use our magic. Not like those puny sword wielders who just, swing sword, kill person.
Hey, that's kind of generalizing. But, you know, we do read a lot of books, so there's that.
That is entirely true. Now, when it comes down to magic schools, not high schools, magic schools, guilds, covens, whatever you want to call it, there are various scattered around the world that perform different things. Sometimes the school will be all warlocks, or all witches, or all wizards. But no matter what, they are all magi. Magi is the blanket term for anyone that uses magic. It's very simple. Magi, magus, magic man. Magic.
And from what I've heard, there are practically uncountable schools of magic. You've got the Bacchanal school.
Yeah,
Those crazy drunken assholes.
you've got the School of Ulamancy, those egg-obsessed weirdos.
Yeah, you know, that's just never a school that has landed for me.
Yeah, for a multitude of reasons, they have yet to land themselves, truly.
You got the, what were they called? The Karavian Recromancers? I don't know if you've heard of them.
Oh, no, not them.
Oh, yeah, no, they,
I
it's pretty crazy. They, break ordered objects and use the stored energy to power their spells.
that's extremely messed up and actually quite cool.
It's really cool.
It's really cool.
If I had any sort of physical strength, believe me, I would be a Recromancer.
Well, and of course, there's the Honorian School of Husbandry. That one is tougher to tell if it's magic or not. The control of animals and making them obey your... I mean, I respect a good old cow storm as much as anyone else,
you've got
but...
Got to respect that much meat flying through the air.
But at the same time, I kind of doubt if that's actually magic.
You know, we may never know, and that's all right. Now, I've heard another Karavian school rumored, called the Flesh Crafters. Yeah. No, they craft flesh.
Yeah,
It's not pretty.
Yeah, but could it be pretty? Theoretically, if you wanted to say...
Theoretically, it could probably be the most pretty.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you could theoretically just freely upgrade your own body...
That's a good point. Marcus pulls out a journal. Note to self. Look into flesh crafting.
I mean, I'm not particularly interested myself, as in I am literally perfect, but I think I could...
Oh yeah, no, I'm not interested either because I am also literally perfect. Marcus underlines the note in his journal.
But I'm just saying learning the spells could be useful for performing upgrades on others.
Yeah, no, you know, if you're carrying a bunch of stuff, you need an extra arm. Boom.
Yeah. Or you're hanging out with a group of friends and, you know, you just wish they were a little more cut.
And if you just want, I don't know, different face for a day.
Yeah.
No problem.
I mean, that actually does sound like kind of fun.
Yeah, right?
Always wanted a mustache for a while. That sounds like,
Yeah,
that
me
sounds great.
too.
Yeah, right? Why do I... Wizards, right?
wizards.